to talk about one of the most interesting aspects of our sport, the bowling ball. Well, what a lot of information a person needs to know about the bowling ball. And with me to help explain that is Coach Jerry Edwards. Jerry, there's a lot of things about this bowling ball that we have to cover today. Let's start out first and talk about the grip. We have three items of concern with the grip. Number one, the hole sizes. We like for the finger holes to be a little bit snug. Jerry's going to talk about the finger inserts and the thumb slugs and how you can adjust that, but we'd like for the fingers to be a little snug, not so snug that they pop when you release it, but snug so that you get a good feel. We want the thumb hole to be a little bit looser. Then we talk about the span, the distance from the middle finger to the thumb. You need to go to your pro shop and have your pro shop operator try different spans for you for flexibility, strength of the hand, to be able to get more rotation or more lift. You can adjust that span for different hand sizes, for different strengths. You need to work with your pro shop operator is the message that we're going to talk about a lot when we talk about bowling balls. So we have the hole sizes, the span. What we want there is we'd like for this web here to be stretched out, but not like a banjo string, not so tight you have to pull your thumb over the edge of the hole to get it in the ball. We would like the thumb to drop in and out of the thumb hole cleanly. As you can see, this ball is a ball that fits my hand. So my thumb drops in and out of the thumb hole very cleanly. And the third thing that we talk about is the pitches. When we talk about pitches, we're talking about is if we took and drilled a ball and we drilled it right at geometric center, that would be zero pitch on the finger holes, zero pitch on the thumb hole. We go forward pitch, that's for a better grip. Reverse pitch is for a quicker release. So if you had a big strong hand, we would drill the ball with more reverse pitch. If you had a smaller hand or wanted to hold onto the ball longer, get it out on the lane, you would use forward pitch. But meet with your pro shop operator. Talk about the three things on the grip: the hole sizes, the span, and the pitches. Now, Coach Edwards, would you talk to us a little about the grips and how you could change the hole sizes?
Sure. As you can see, there are several different colored grips on the table here. These grips are used inside the finger holes, and a lot of people enjoy these because they're softer and they feel like they get a few more revolutions when they use these particular grips. As you can see, they're relatively soft. Now, they come in different softnesses too. Some are a little harder, some are a little softer, and some of them have pitches inside too, so you can get some with extra pitch so you can hang on to them a little bit better, and some with no pitch at all. And then behind them here, you notice these larger type of things. These are called inserts solids, and these go in the thumb hole. This particular material is a urethane material, and a lot of people today like to use these because the reactive resin urethane actually gets a little sticky. And what they do is they'll use these instead. They'll pop them in, drill the thumb hole into this material, and then from ball to ball to ball, they all feel relatively the same. So these are very, very popular, and your pro shop operator can help you choose the ones that are right for you.
And also, we know people that change the size of the inserts according to the seasons or according to the way their hand feels. They'll change it right before a tournament starts, huh, Jerry?
Absolutely.
And then if you say you want to make a slight pitch change on your thumb hole with the inserts, okay, with the slugs, you can make a pitch change, a little eighth of an inch pitch change, right, left, forward, or reverse. But the message is work with your pro shop operator and get a grip that feels good on your hand. You know, when you talk about the grip of your bowling ball, you can take your existing ball to the pro shop operator, and he'll check the pitch in your thumb hole to see if you want to add or subtract some pitch. And you can also check the span with the span gauge and see what the distance between the holes. You can try different inserts to see the sizes, and that's the first item of concern is the grip. Now, item two, very important subject matter we're going to talk about now with Coach Edwards, is to talk about the surface of the ball.
Well, as you can see, these three balls sitting on the table here look very different. This one looks pretty dull, and these two look pretty shiny. Now, the pro shop operator will use sandpaper often to change the surface of your bowling ball. As you can see, we have three different types of sandpaper right here. Sandpaper comes in many different textures. The 320 is the roughest texture, and it goes 400, 600, 800, 1,000, 1,200, 2,000. They have very many different types of sandpaper. The lower the number, the rougher the texture. This particular piece here is very rough. You can hear it scraping. 320. You notice here's the number on the back, 320. The next size, or the next grit, is actually 600, and it's a little smoother. This makes a smoother surface on the bowling ball. And finally, we have 1,000 grit sandpaper here, and it's very smooth. This, when you use it on a bowling ball with wet water and sandpaper, makes the ball much smoother, makes the ball go down the lane farther. So when you talk to your pro shop operator, remember, the lower the number of the sandpaper, the rougher it is. The higher the number, the smoother it is.
Yes, when we put that bowling ball in a high-speed spinner, put a little water there, the sponge, squirt the water on the ball, and then we use that sandpaper, and we can make the ball real rough or very smooth. After we use the sandpaper, then we can use the rubbing compound or the compound. Compound, Jerry, works, as you know, the same as sandpaper. The lower the number, the rougher the compound. The higher the number, the smoother the compound. So we start at 500. Then we go to 750, 1,000, 1,500, 2,500, 3,500, 5,000. I'm hearing some talk about an 8,000, where you'll be able to see your face in that ball. That'll look like a mirror. That ball would really slide down the lane if the lanes are dry. So you need to have different bowling balls, very rough bowling balls for when the lanes are oily, to very shiny bowling balls when the lanes are dry, and then some bowling balls in between. Build an arsenal of bowling balls with different covers, and you'll be able to play any lane condition.
Another very important topic is the construction of the bowling ball. Firstly, I'll show you this particular bowling ball. This is a very lightweight bowling ball, one that seniors or junior players would use. And if you notice, listen, very hollow. This is almost like a styrofoam type inside. Very lightweight bowling ball. As you notice, there's no extra weight block in here. So this is a light bowling ball. Fred, you've got the next one.
Then we can talk about a ball that we call is cover heavy. As you notice, there's some dark material here. It's made out of barium. It's called the weight block. If you were to look at it, it looks like a big pancake on top of the ball. They make the inside of the ball, or the core, and then they put this pancake heavier weight on, then they cover it up. In days in the past, we used to call it three-part ball, but let's just call it cover-heavy ball. This ball is designed to rotate a long way before it grabs the lane. The reason? Because it's got to make an 8-inch circle for one rotation, so this ball is designed to skid, better used when the lanes are a little bit dry.
And then, finally, we have this type of bowling ball. If you notice here, the shape is very different. This mass is concentrated towards the center of the bowling ball. With this bowling ball, the weight concentrated at the center makes the ball roll much earlier. Today, a lot of the bowling balls that you buy have constructions with more weight towards the center. Gets the ball rolling a little earlier.
We could think of this in terms of the ice skater spinning. This ball with the cover-heavy ball, that's like the ice skater with the arm and leg out, spins very slow. And as the skater spins and they pull the arm and leg in, that's when we put the mass closer to the center. Makes the skater spin faster, makes the ball roll faster. So we have center heavy, down in the middle, or we have cover heavy to skid, center heavy to roll. As you can see, we have different bowling balls here again, little different shapes.
Absolutely.
We have one here that looks a little more like a light bulb, and we have them look like a pear. We have a lot of different construction.
And if you notice here, there's a spot here. You can notice this orange material that points out to the outside of the bowling ball, and that's the pin, and that's our next topic. The pin is very, very important to you, and understanding its importance will help you make better decisions about your equipment. As you notice here, the weight block is actually suspended or is right underneath this pin. So the pin tells you where that weight block is in relationship to the surface of the bowling ball. And how you change that pin in relationship to your grip and your axis makes a difference on how the ball reacts. And if you notice, this bowling ball has a pin, and notice where the pin is here. This pin is in a different spot, and so is this one. And Fred's going to explain the difference between these three.
Yes, Jerry, and what we call when we put the pin in the center or nearly in the center of the grip, we call it label balance. Or center of the ball is in this orientation. It's standing straight up, and as it rolls down the lane, it just stays stood up. It'll stay very stable. It's called stable, and it's called label drilling, and it's designed for minimum amount of hook. The natural rotation you put on the ball with your hand is how much hook you'll get. Now, you could take this ball and shine it up with the pin in the center of the grip or label drilling, and that ball is designed to go rather straight. Then we can go over here to the ball 2. This is a ball that has axis balance. This drilling here is where we take the pin and we lay the weight block down. It's also very stable, and it'll stay in that position. As it rolls down the lane, it'll stay laid down. It's the quickest rolling bowling ball that you can drill, axis balance. So if you were on a lot of oil or a lane that's a little spotty and you want to get a lot of roll, not hook, I didn't say hook, but a good heavy roll on the ball, axis balance would be the ball of choice. And we would make that ball a little bit rougher textured to grab the oiled lane. So axis balance is designed for roll. Label balance is designed to make the ball go straighter. The pin stands up or the pin lays down. And now we have what we call leverage weight, where we put the pin at the 45-degree position. As it goes down the lane, it will not stay in that position. It's called unstable. And as it's rolling down the lane, it stands up. And when it stands up, it makes the ball flip. This is when you want to arc the ball and snap it back to the pocket. You use leverage balance, or the leverage pin position. Or it's 3 3/8 from your axis. That's what your pro shop operator will do for you. Figure, what ball do you want? You want a ball that goes straighter? They can put the pin even more over towards your track to make it go straight. Want the ball to roll? We'll put it in axis. We want it to flip? We'll put it in the leverage position. You know, we've talked about the grip, we've talked about the ball cover, we've talked about inner core construction, we've talked about pin position. There's some other terms about how we lay a ball out, about how a ball driller lays a ball out. Jerry, if you would, could you talk to us about some of these lines you put on this bowling ball so neatly?
Sure. As you can see here, we have 2 lines that are white. This line, the very center point, is called your center of grip. This is very important to the pro shop operator as he's determining how to lay out your ball and what he's going to do to it. This line between the fingers down to the thumb is your center line. This line from side to side that bisects the distance between the fingers and the thumb is your midline. And those are important. And you notice this red line here. This red line represents my track. This is my own personal bowling ball. In any case, if you notice here, the thing that I'd like to make note of is if you notice where the pin is on this bowling ball, the pin is located near the center line here, if you notice. A little bit up, but definitely near the center line. That is a very stable drilling. And with the stable drilling, you'll notice that the track line is very narrow, very small. Stable drilling gives you less track flare. Now we're going to show you this other ball over here that's really interesting. Fred, you want to explain this one to us?
Yes, as you can see, if we were to measure the distance from the track to the pin, we've got, say, 1.5 inches or so. Now let's measure the distance from the track to the pin here. We've got nearly 4 inches. But we have this in the leverage position. The leverage position creates maximum track flare. How does that work? What happens is we deliver the bowling ball. The first revolution off the hand would be represented by the red line. As it rolls one time around, this track wants to find its way toward the heavy weight block, and the heavy weight block wants to migrate toward the track, or the 2 forces try to align themselves with each other. Every time it rotates, the track moves toward the heavy weight block, and the pin is trying to stand up, and the track is flaring toward the weight block. Every rotation, as you can see, it starts out here, and as it rolls down the lane, it'll end up, the final revolution going into the pins will be this blue circle, or that'll be the track. So here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tracks on this ball. Each time it rotates, it creates a new track or flares, giving you maximum hook. Here it's very stable. It's a pencil line. It has very little flare. The pin's standing up. Minimum hook. You know, it's very important then how we build our arsenal. And we'd like to see the tournament player and the competitive player to have 4 different bowling balls with different covers and different pin positions.
And so what you're saying then is that if I'm going to have 4 different bowling balls in my arsenal, I should make them different, and that the surface on some would be shiny or kind of medium shiny, and maybe a dull one in there too. And then change the pin positions too, and that would give me different ball reaction.
You've got it, Jerry. Now we very systematically go 1, 2, 3, 4, and we build an arsenal to play on very dry lanes to very oily lanes. We've got 4 different pieces of equipment. We can play any lane in tournament play. Let's talk about ball 1. Ball 1 could be a polyester ball or a standard urethane ball. We want the label drilling. where the pin's right in the middle of the label, and it'll be for a straighter ball, for a very small hook. It's your spare ball or the ball you use when the lanes are real dry. Ball 2. Ball 2 will be a slightly polished ball. It'll be a reactive urethane ball. It gives you a little more hook than ball 1. It's a label type drilling also with a pin in the middle of the grip. And it's for a smooth, even hook for when the lanes are medium dry or just a little bit of oil on the lanes, but not a lot of oil on the lane. It's your medium hook ball. Now we go to ball 3. Ball 3 is a leverage drilling. And that's where we put the pin over 3 3/8 inches off your positive axis or over to the right of the finger holes. We wet sand it with 800 to 1,000 grit paper. It's a reactive urethane ball, and it's leverage drilling for the strong snap. That's where we want the ball to finish strong toward the pins, and that's usually the best ball when the scores are high. And in tournaments, when you see everybody shooting 230, pull out your leverage ball, and boy, will you bowl good, because it'll snap and create a bigger angle of entry. Then we can go to ball 4. Ball 4 is axis drilling. That's where we lay the pin all the way down on its side, and it rolls all the way down the lane. It's the earliest rolling bowling ball of any ball drilling that we can drill. We wet sand that with 320 paper, very coarse paper, for real good traction on the lane. It's reactive urethane, axis drilling, the earliest roll. That's for a spotty, oily lane condition when the scores are a little low and everybody's wah, 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 wah. Pull out that axis ball that's 320 drilling. Don't look for a big hook. Look for a heavy roll. Move to the right and roll it right up to the pocket. And now you've built an arsenal. You've got 4 different bowling balls, and you can play any lane condition.